So, you own property in Sarawak, and that lease expiry date is getting closer. It can be pretty stressful, right? You start wondering, how does this even work? What's it going to cost me? Well, don't worry. In this explainer, we're going to break it all down into simple, easy to understand steps, really focusing on the costs and the rules that depend on your specific type of land. Okay, let's get into it.
First up, we'll tackle that big question on everyone's mind. Then, we'll walk through the renewal process itself and how long you can expect it to take. After that, we get down to the nitty-gritty, the money, and how your renewal premium gets calculated. We'll also look at how land use changes the rules, clarify the details around Bumiputra status, and finally, wrap everything up with a straightforward action plan.
All right, so you've got that land lease and the clock is ticking down. Let's start with the first thing that probably pops into your head. This is it, the central question. That feeling of what now can be pretty overwhelming. But the good news is there's a clear system in place. Our goal here is to turn all that uncertainty into a solid, confident plan of action for you.
Okay, let's pull back the curtain on all the bureaucracy. This part is all about making the official process easy to understand so you know exactly what to expect, step by step. The whole thing really boils down to these 4 key stages. You kick things off by submitting your application, and for most people, the best way to do this is online through the e-Lasses portal. It's just way faster. Then, the Land and Survey Department does its homework, making sure you're the owner and the government doesn't need the land for something else. Next, they figure out your renewal fee, or premium. And finally, you get the green light and take care of the payment.
So, how long is this going to take? Well, it's good to have realistic expectations. If your case is really straightforward, you might be done in just 6 months. But the standard timeline can stretch up to 2 years. And if there's one piece of advice to take away from this, it's this. Apply early. Don't wait. Oh, and a really important heads up. If your lease has already been expired for more than 5 years, you can't use the online system. You'll have to go down to an office and apply in person. All right, let's get to the part everyone really wants to know about, the cost. How much is this going to set you back? This section is all about the money. Before we get into all the tables and percentages, let's start with a super simple, really common example. For a standard terraced house, renewing your 60-year lease costs a flat rate of just 1,000 ringgit. It's a nice, clean number for a very common type of property. Okay, now this slide is where it gets really interesting because it shows you the single most important factor that determines your cost, what your land is used for, and where it is. We just saw the 1,000 ringgit for a terraced house, but a semi-D is 3,000. And then look at this jump. A commercial shop house in a big town is 40,000 ringgit. And for farms, it's totally different. It's per acre, not per unit. It can be as low as 200 ringgit way out in the country or 5,000 in town. See, your land's category is everything. So what if you're thinking longer term? You want that extra security of a 99-year lease. Well, the math is actually pretty simple. For most properties, you just take that 60-year premium and add 30%. So that 1,000 ringgit terraced house renewal becomes 1,300 ringgit for 99 years. The main exception here is for agricultural land that was originally a 99-year term to begin with. They get to skip that extra charge.
So, we've got the flat rates down for common properties, but the rules change for more specialized land. Let's look at how the costs are figured out for things like industrial lots or big commercial buildings.
For things like factories, big office buildings, or large commercial plots that aren't shop houses, the government doesn't use a flat rate. Instead, the premium is a percentage of the land's market value. And once again, you can see just how much location matters. For any of these land uses in a town, the premium is 40% of the land's value. Move to the suburbs and it drops to 35%, and way out in the country, it's down to 25%. Okay, now we're going to touch on a more nuanced topic. We're going to provide a clear, impartial explanation of how Bumiputra status fits into all this, based strictly on the official Sarawak Land Code. First things first, let's be crystal clear on the definition. In the context of Sarawak law, the term Bumiputra lines up with native status. This refers to the indigenous communities of the state who have special protections over land, known as Native Customary Rights, or NCR land. So this right here is the absolute key takeaway. We have to separate 2 totally different things, getting land for the very first time versus renewing a lease you already own. When it comes to getting new land, yes, there are major differences. But for renewing an existing lease, the process is the same for everybody. There are no automatic discounts on renewal premiums based on status. The only possible exception is for low-income owners who might be able to get some relief, but that's decided case by case.
All right, we have covered the process, the timeline, the costs, and all the specific rules. So let's bring it all home and consolidate everything into a final, empowering action plan to get you started. Here is your checklist for smooth renewal. Number 1, and I can't say it enough, apply early. Use the online eLicense portal if you can. It'll make your life easier. Make sure you know your exact land category so you have a good idea of what the premium will be. Be mentally prepared for that 6 to 24-month wait. And finally, don't forget, if you're in a low-income situation, it's absolutely worth asking about potential financial relief. And that brings us to one last thought. This shift to digital systems like eLicense is obviously making things more efficient. But the bigger question for the future is, as this technology gets even better, will it also help create a renewal process that is fundamentally more transparent and more equitable for every single landowner in Sarawak? It's definitely something to think about.